All right, we are live.
Fantastic.
Can give everyone about 5 minutes to show up here.
Feel like you got some green themes going here. Is it me or you just adjusted the color some to match the channel?
No, that's what I usually do.
Gotcha.
Green that's my color.
Green for the money.
That's right.
Right.
Green
Yeah.
for the
Is
green
this
for the
Guntersville
money.
green?
You've been making
about.
that. And say you've been making that money here lately, haven't
Cashing checks. I don't know about making money.
you?
Not
Man, I wish
losing
you'd have got that big one on video though.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I need to figure out a way to blur the background when I do stuff like that, but I don't think iMovie can do it. So we got a few people in the stream here. Got 3, looks like. If you guys are here, say hey. Let us know you're here so we can shout you out.
There's Gordo.
Sweet. And Mike, what's whopper
And
plopping? I think Gordo would be thrilled to hear that I caught one on topwater today. So it's starting to get really good out there.
Is it already?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember because last year I started catching them about this time on topwater. But I think we got Gary in the house. What's up, man? Gary is one of the Thunderbait winners from my giveaway a few months ago. We've talked a few times. He's a nice dude here from Middle Tennessee.
You want a blanket? Or do you want your kitty blanket?
Cool.
It looks like Gordo caught some on top water today also.
Heck yeah, man. It's that time. I'm telling you, it's awesome.
Gordo, was that hybrids or bass?
Could go either way, couldn't it?
I guess it could. Well, luckily I got a bunch of buzz baits under construction, so.
I like to hear that. That is good stuff. I'm probably going to be throwing one down at Eufaula here next week.
I'd say down there at least it would be definitely time for it.
Yep. Not allowed to post anything right now due to tournament. What tournament are you fishing, Gordo? This is an exciting development.
My guess is the Anchored by Grace.
Yeah, probably.
Got it. That's cool.
You fishing that one, Brennan?
I might try to fish a couple of them this year.
Yep, you're right, Johnny. He's fishing Anchor by Grace.
Yeah.
Cool. Johnny, are you jumping in any tournaments this year, you think?
Not at the moment. I know you and I kind of talk about it here and there, and I think I'm going to do it. And then I see that there's 150 plus boats. I'm like, yeah, maybe not.
I'm telling you, the mindset is the more boats, the better the payout, right?
I mean, yeah, the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
I don't know. I've seen your videos, man. All those boats around just makes me anxious.
It's pretty crazy, especially Smith was really bad. I think they've got it figured out at Guntersville, but Smith was interesting.
Lake Martin didn't seem like it was bad when you came in. I don't know if it was just at angle or not, but
we were a little late getting in the water. Like we dumped the boat in, I parked, got in the truck or got in the boat, and like as we're idling by, they're calling our number. So
oh wow,
like we missed the prayer and the national anthem, but right as they're calling our boat, we got to go. So it was good.
Did I see that?
Which, Johnny, I'm kind of like you. I get a little bit anxious myself, especially in an 18-foot boat with a 150, around
that I get
on all the 21 footers, But, I mean, it is what it is. Just take it slow.
Well, I feel like an 18-footer, it would be easier to navigate around than a 21-foot. But, man, when you blast off and all those guys got big motors, I mean, trying to ride around there.
You get everybody going, they get the waves churning up, and it's kind of a rough ride till you get out of the field a little bit. But
It's part of the deal, man. I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys saw my Smith video, but riding through that fog was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I bet.
That's one where you just like gotta trust your boater. And I know the guy I was with was a local, so I had no problems. But that's a pucker moment, as I like to call it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
We got
Is
Sarah
that more
Gary.
sketchy there, or I don't know if you saw G-Man's video when he was running down in, I think it was in Okeechobee. They're running down those little lanes and just like full
No,
send. He's like,
that's easy because there's a reason those lanes are there. When you're doing the fog, like you can't see 25 feet in front of you. You never know what you're gonna run into. So no
Yeah,
hate
you
on
got no
small
idea
boats.
what's in the fog.
Right, that's the thing. We got Gordo, no hate on small boats. Look at Keith Poche. I don't think
Right.
anybody's hating on small boats. It's just there's some realities that you deal with small. And,
Oh yeah.
and like the boat that Keith runs, he's gonna get beat to a heck on that rough water. But that's part of that's his game. So no judgment. It's just a different game.
has he done any of the last two event series? I don't feel like I've seen his name up there. Keith Boucher.
So he was not at Kissimmee. Did you hear that on BTL? They were talking about, I guess the Elite Series required him to pay the entry. So he had to enter the tournament. Otherwise, he would forfeit his season. But he wanted to fish the MLF, and they were overlapping. So he decided to fish the MLF.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a sneaky little thing. Nice. So got Gary saying 17.9 Skeeter with a 90, and I'll peel out with all the big boys. I love it, man.
There you go.
Get out there however you can, because they're. I mean, I don't have a boat up here, obviously, so there are so many days where I'm like, I want to get out there, no matter what it is. Come on, you be busy over here, man. You got a hot date? What's going on?
No.
People are trying to order some backdraft lures, man, after seeing Bible Belt. I think Bible Belt's been.
No, pretty sure that one's spam.
Oh man.
Sitting here with my wife and my little girl. She's watching cartoons. That's probably what y'all are hearing.
That's all good. It is all good. So we're at 7:08 now. We'll give it 2 more minutes, and then we'll start kind of getting into what we want to talk about today. But you guys got plans this weekend? What you doing?
I'm prepping for Dale Hollow.
What does that mean for you?
Well, we've got in service Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the fire hall. So, I mean, that's 8-hour days. So it's going to kind of cut my, but I mean, just, putting all new line on everything and just kind of getting organized, what I want to take, what I don't want to take, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's some new colors though. I'll show you guys.
Yeah.
It's hard to see. Oop, there you go.
Nice.
That's called mouse.
Uh-huh.
There you go. Hard to see there again.
I like it.
And then there's your good muddy watercolor.
There you go.
There we go.
It's almost like a chartreuse sexy shad kind of thing.
Almost, yeah.
That's cool. I like it.
With the red head, I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm going to try it, but should work.
Can't be a bad thing, right? What about you, Johnny? What are you up to this weekend?
I don't know. Saturday, I probably try to work on the boat some if the weather's decent. I got a little rust spot that I may try to tackle on. And then Sunday, I think Mike and Doug are talking about going to Normandy, so we'll see what that's like.
Sweet. That'll be fun.
Okay.
I'm headed back down to Gunnersville. Had to get back on it, and gonna go with one of my buddies with Kevin, and we're gonna try to get back on those fish. Who knows if they'll still be biting? They'll probably won't be in the same places, but they're straight biting down there right now.
It looks like y'all went to that same spot a few times.
We spent 90% of our day in one area, 5% of our day in the mouth of the creek we were in, and then 5% down at another area. We fished the area where I caught the big one. We fished it all day.
You were on just a big grass flat, were you not?
One at a time.
Sorry. Johnny, go ahead, man.
No, I was telling Alex, I figured that his boater was dialed in, man, when I only saw one rod on the deck. And I think that's all he had on
I know, I noticed that too.
So towards the end of the day, as we started heading back upriver, we were fishing 8 or 10 foot instead of that 3 or 4. And he pulled out a 3/4, but it was the same color, the same thing. So he had 2 rods on the deck by the end of the day, but they were the same thing. But when we're sitting there and he was messing around with tackle and doing whatever, and he pulls out 1 rod, I'm like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing. Like, so, there's sometimes where you want to be different than your boater, and there's other times where you better be throwing, a slight variation of the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you guys jump on, I see we got about maybe 8 people here. Jump on, say hi, let us know you're here so we know who to talk to. But without further ado, man, part of tonight's stream is just between me and Brandon, man. We met back at the BFL on Priest, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and we kind of started talking then and, found each other on social media, and I didn't really realize that he did lures. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but, over the past few months, we've continued our conversations. We've talked about all sorts of stuff. We've talked about videos. We've talked about tournaments. We've talked about, anything you talk about with your fishing buddies. That's kind of how a conversation goes with us. And that was probably about a month and a half ago. We were talking about, I think you were on the stream here and you were talking about pro stuff possibilities. And without further ado, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. So I just fired up the whole pro staff thing again. I kind of abandoned it there for a little while because I got kind of burnt out on guys just wanting free stuff and not doing anything for it, never hearing from them again. So a good buddy of mine, matter of fact, the guy that's fishing with me this year, he's fishing as a co-angler, and him and I are traveling together, practicing together. So he's my first pro staffer, and then Bible Belt signed on, and then of course yourself. So happy to have you guys on. I think I think y'all will represent the brand well, and I'm happy to have you.
Yeah, man. So my first official, pro staff, whatever you want to call it, man.
Yeah.
Just I think really our conversation centered around it being mutually beneficial for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just want free stuff, and I want it to benefit you. So it's not like my audience is huge, but I feel like I have the ear of the people who do watch, and so I want to promote. I want to promote local stuff and I want to promote quality stuff, and that's you. So that's kind of letting the cat out of the bag here.
That's the very same thing, Chad with Bible Belt, he was like, man, I love local stuff. He said, other than crankbait, I fish swim jigs and chatterbaits. I'm like, well, happens to be I make swim jigs and chatterbaits, but Chad's a good dude. And yeah, like I said, happy to have you guys. I mean, I know y'all are not going to ask for much. You're not going to ask for free stuff all the time, and then I'll never hear from you again. So, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
You guys are going to do well. Well, and y'all are rocking it on tournament, especially you. And then, Chad finished 4th up at that river tournament with a heck of a good smallmouth bag,
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the kind of stuff I want. Fish catches. That's what I want to see. You know what I mean?
Right. So, excited for this moving forward. It's it's part of the dream, doing this. It's not like I said, we're still 2 local guys just trying to make this work, we're trying to just support each other. And I think that's what it's about at the end of the day. It's not necessarily about, a huge exposure for either of us. It's just, we're going to pat each other's back, and we'll get a link for the YouTube guys here soon. We'll get a 10% off link going here.
Yep.
I know you're working on the website and getting that up and running. So we appreciate that. And so that's what's going on. That's part of tonight's deal, is just announcing that. I'm happy to have you on here and be doing that. But
hopefully about 90% of that will be up this weekend. There's a handful of things after the Lebanon fishing show. I kind of ran out of skirts, kind of ran out of a few things. So it's just replenishing that stuff. But hopefully about 90% of it will be up and available for sale on the website.
Awesome.
By this weekend, at least before I go to Del Hollow anyway.
Right. And that's just backdraftlures.com.
Backdraftlures.com. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Gonna put it up there. So yeah, if you guys are on the stream and looking to support, a local company and someone who supports me, go hit up Backdraft or find Brandon on Instagram or Facebook. He's definitely on it there. So that being said, Johnny, what did we decide to talk about tonight? I mean, we were talking about it earlier.
No, man, I just want to say first off, congrats. Exciting, man. Looking forward to seeing some more fish catches on some swim jigs and chatterbaits. I know Chad was really looking for someone to help him make some red swim jigs, and so excited for him on that. And hopefully,
I hope y'all get out there and kill him on it. Johnny, if you need something, man, let me know.
Yeah, we'll do. That's
message me directly. I'll hook you up.
Alex was talking about, like, man, I can't wait for a swim jig bite, and I'm like, majority of the time I'm fishing Priest, and it's just something I've never thrown around Priest, and it seems like it would work well on Old Hickory, and so we'll see.
Mm-hmm. I throw a bladed jig more around Priest. Well, I mean, actually, on Priest, I throw a spinnerbait primarily. If I happen to get into a little bit of grass, then I'll throw a chatterbait or bladed jig, but I throw a spinnerbait a lot on Priest.
Yeah, and one of the things I really like about a swim jig is it's super versatile. So you don't just have to swim it like that Alabama shake you see guys doing. You don't just have to do that. As a co-angler, I'll tie a swim jig on a lot during the spring because I can flip it and I can skip it, fish docks with it. I'm not just fishing cover with it. You can flip it and fish laydowns with it. I mean, it's a really versatile bait. So,
and I mean,
excited for that.
I mean, if you're in clear water, you don't need all that shake.
No.
I mean, if especially in the fall, like in the late summer and fall, I mean, they're out there feeding on shad anyway. I mean, obviously they're there. All the baits around, the bass are around them. You don't need all that shake.
Right.
I mean, all you got to do is get it in front of them,
Yep. That's true. So, what was I going to say? I had Kyle Pillars, who's another local guy. He messaged me earlier, was asking about the holes in the blade of is it the Shutterbug?
Uh-huh.
So you have to buy those blades third party, I assume?
Well, I mean, I get those blades where I get all the rest of my stuff, but so those blades, they're called turbo blades, and their selling point is allegedly the holes actually create bubbles. I've never seen it do that, but the accidental action to it is like, as you're moving along, if it catches the water right, you'll get kind of a random, like a hunting action. Like it'll just kind of shoot off to the side randomly and then come back and start, doing its thing again. So that random hunting action was kind of, it was inadvertent, but it's a cool little, I guess, accidental feature of the lure.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times when you get bit on those kind of winding baits, whether that's a crankbait or a swim jig or whatever it is that you're winding, a lot of times when you get bit is when you run into something or you have a sudden change where if that fish is following it or looking at it and suddenly it runs away, they can't resist. They
after you deflect off of something, or if you get caught up in grass and you rip it free, usually that's when you're going to get bit. And so that random little kickoff, if you got a fish following it, well, that's going to seal the deal right there. I mean, totally unintended, but like I said, very, very cool little feature of those blades.
So I was curious about the water deflection that comes off of that, because I think the reason I asked, because I'm asking about trailers and what your favorite trailers are for the Shutterbug. But for me, I like for my trailer to be moving at the same speed as that blade. And the movement of the trailer totally depends on the water that's passing around that blade. So I thought maybe those bubbles let a little bit more water pass through, but I wasn't sure.
So my favorite trailer for a bladed jig as opposed to a swim jig, on a swim jig, I like a paddle tail, just because the paddle tail does add a little bit of vibration. As we're on a bladed jig or even a spinnerbait, the paddle tail doesn't add anything, and I think it even takes away some from the actual vibration and the action.
Sure.
So, like a bladed jig or a spinnerbait doesn't benefit from a trailer that produces a whole lot of vibration or movement. And I mean, that's just one man's opinion, but I mean, that's what I think. So I'll use like a spunk shad or like one of the big Zoom Z-Craws.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Johnny, you got any thoughts about bladed jigs and their trailers?
No, I was gonna ask if y'all use what's that extra hook in the back? What's it called?
Trailer hook.
Trailer. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Brandon?
On a spinnerbait, sometimes I will if they're short striking it. Usually on a like a bladed jig, I don't, because usually on a bladed jig they'll inhale it. It's a good little mouthful,
Right.
and usually they get it all the way in their mouth. As with the spinnerbait, sometimes they hit the blades or hit the arm or something like that, and they don't get a good mouthful of it.
Right. Or sometimes on a spinnerbait, like if it's this shape and they come and eat it, they'll
Yeah.
eat the back half and then they'll just collapse that wire and then it'll just shoot out of their mouth. So it happens for sure.
Yep.
I've never done really the trailer hook thing with the spinnerbait. I've never really worried about it. I mean, a lot of times the reason I'm using a spinnerbait is because it's like 4-wheel drive. Like I'm running around docks and I'm pitching around laydowns, and I don't need any other thing that could potentially interrupt that cast. So
right.
That's my approach.
I mean, I throw a spinnerbait the same place I throw like a square bill. I'll throw it up into the nastiest stuff, just because I know I can bring it back through. I mean, it's, one of my confidence horse up there with a square bill.
Yep. Totally agree. So let me see.
Alex, I got what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about how hot the Tennessee River is. My trip to Chick.
Yeah.
Weird weather, the opens and stuff like that, and that.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about your trip to Chick? So I know you did some videos, but for those who haven't seen them, give us the overview.
Yeah. So just at a high level, I had a buddy that's down in Florida. He's fishing in a kayak tournament. It's like the classic of the kayak tournaments. It's going to be on Chick in a few weeks, and so he wanted to scout the lake. And so we started mid-lake. I think we launched around Harrison Bay, and scouted some areas, gave him some ideas of what to fish, and then spent the last hour or two fishing some. And then the following day, we went up towards the dam on Watts Bars Dam, right, Alex? I think it's Watts Bars, then Chick. And so we went up to the river section there, and current was rolling pretty good at 60,000, and checked out a few different boat maps. What I thought was really interesting about that trip is I hit a stump coming in on Chick on Saturday, and kind of dinged up the propeller a little bit, but nothing major. And I noticed when I was getting out on the river, like when it was jumping up on pad, like it was real slow. I'm like, okay, maybe it was the current. And felt like it was down on power, but I was still getting decent miles per hour. And came and fished Common River the following week and had similar problems. So I was like, oh my gosh, I think I got engine problems. I bought an engine compression tester, and I went to go compression test my engine like a Saturday or Sunday night, and I noticed a spark plug wire was off. And so I was only on 5 cylinders out of 6. And so you talk about feeling relieved, man. So
that'll do it.
Yeah, at least that's all it was.
Yeah. So I went out the following day, and she ran like a champ.
So what we kind of want to talk about just how good the Tennessee River is right now, because I mean, if you want to go win a tournament up there, it's going to take 25 plus pounds right now. I mean, it doesn't really matter where you are on the chain. I've heard guys down on Wheeler catching really big bags. Pickwick is good with the dam bite this time of year. So I think it's probably something that guys and I are in our area in Middle Tennessee. We kind of stick to Old Hickory, Priest, Cumberland River, Normandy. Some of these places we go to the same, the same 5 or 6 places. But Tennessee River is not that far, and you can learn so much from going down there. I mean, it's just fire hot right now. So,
you think it's just because of the time of year, like the generating current, water temperatures warming up, bass are staging?
To be honest, I think the population of fish is just so much better in those lakes. So, up here, not to badmouth any of our lakes because we're lucky to have them, but I do feel like the population is lacking in some of these places. There are some fish to be caught, but the ones that are there, they're hard to find and they're unpredictable. Whereas on Gunnersville right now, the population is so good and so strong that you can go catch 5 keepers on a rattle trap and go to a different creek and catch 5 keepers on a chatterbait and go to a different creek and catch 5 keepers on a square bill and then go punch mats, and you might catch one this early. I mean, I just think the population is so good in that river.
I've got to get down to Gunnersville this year. I think I'm going to like probably late summer, probably June, July.
Yeah.
I want to get out on the ledges.
Yeah,
I love ledge fishing.
Yeah,
Love
and, you know,
ledge fishing.
like we talk about ledge fishing on Old Hickory. There's a few places to go, but
Yep.
on Gunnersville, there's 25 in one single creek or one single mile river stretch. So I just think, like I said, I think the population is really good down there right now. And it's been really cool getting to go down there. And I'll be back on March 25th. I'll be back down there. So that'll be right at the beginning of the frog bite and, topwater season. And I just think that it's hard to beat being on Tennessee River right now.
Yep. But, me and my dad used to fish Pickwick a lot. In the winter, like December, January, we'd go down below the dam and fish for sauger. And
Nice.
you'd get these huge smallmouth as bycatch sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just 5 and 6 pound smallmouth, and it's like, holy crap,
Yeah.
we were out there fishing for sauger. It's like, stupid smallmouth, But nowadays, I mean, heck, I'd be happy to have something like that,
Right. No, that's cool. That's awesome. I was talking to someone about being a multi-species angler and how that can be really beneficial. I mean, you guys know I like to chase the big stripe and stuff, but fishing for sauger and realizing that a lot of these fish are in the same areas, they're feeding on the same stuff.
Yep.
You can target them similar ways, even like I've heard of guys using like crappie stuff for bass on Old Hickory at times because the bait fish are so different there.
Yep.
But being a multi-species angler is a good thing for sure.
Well, I mean, that's how the floating fly came about on Dale Hollow.
Right.
You guys were catching big smallmouth on them little crappie hair jigs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a big deal up there. And other places too. I know of guys down on the Coosa who use that.
Mm-hmm. But that's another place I want to go is down to the Coosa.
I'll probably be back down there in April at some point. You can't keep me away from that place.
I want to catch some of them big spots down there.
It is a special place. It's not what it used to be. It's getting hammered on and sort of similar to up here. I don't think the state does enough to really support and help that place. But it's still a special place, and you can still go hammer on some fish for sure.
Hey Alex, can I circle back on the conversation about ledge fishing? I'd be interested to hear Brendan's thoughts on how he goes about ledge fishing. Are you doing some map study? Are you looking at your graph and knowing what ledges you want to fish and graph over them, or what's your process there, Brendan?
So on Old Hickory and Kentucky Lake too, usually they set up how the current's running, whether they're in the channel or on top of the ledge. Usually if the current's running, usually they're going to be kind of suspended. And if there's a good amount of current, basically they're just kind of running back and forth, up and down, chasing bait fish that are coming through there. So if I'm graphing, I'll kind of straddle the ledge and look both ways, and then just kind of set up however I need to.
Sweet.
So for an example, let's say the current is running north to south. Are you looking for a ledge that's, on the north end, it's shallow, and then on the south end, it's deeper, and then you're casting up towards that shallow end and kind of bring your bait down?
Well, you got to factor wind into that too, because, if you got a south wind, but you got a current running north, well, that kind of complicates it. But usually you can take one pass and figure out where they are, because once you find, I don't care if you're in, just 10 feet of water. Once you find them, they're generally not going to move. They're going to move up and down a little bit. But, as long as that current's running, as long as they're chasing bait, they're probably not going to move.
So let's say you see them suspended. What type of lures or techniques you're trying to catch them on?
I go bottom to top. I'll use a football jig, usually a 1/2 ounce or a 3/4, depending on how quick I want to get it down there. I'll use a couple of deep diving crankbaits and then a big worm. And occasionally, like a preacher jig, one of them big hair jigs. and then occasionally a spoon. But usually the deep diving crankbait, the football jig, and the old Zoom monster worm usually get them.
That's something I never really gotten on, and I feel like on Old Hickory it would be tough, just because I feel like once you find a good spot, you would be interrupted by a wake boat or a jet ski or another bass boat, and so I just would get frustrated. Same thing with Priest, but
See, it's weird.
you know.
Which I mean, I don't want to give away my secrets, but I mean, it's a well-known hole. You know, a lot of people know about it, and it's up close to the dam, but it's not on the channel. Like it's off kind of a feeder creek, so the current doesn't affect it as much. But they still get on those, like on that secondary channel, and there's just little humps kind of dotted out throughout there, and lots of guys catch them off the main channel too on those humps. I mean, yeah, that's what they do though. Like they get on the top of the humps. They just kind of move up and down depending on where the bait is.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So we've been talking about summertime Old Hickory, but here lurking backstage is someone who was on the lake today. Let's bring into the stream Mr. Mike. What's up, Mike?
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing well.
You hear you just fine.
All right. So Mike, you were out there today with our buddy Doug, and we were hoping he was going to jump on. Maybe he will still. But tell us about the afternoon today.
We had a really good afternoon out there today. The bass look like they're moving into pre-spawn. We caught 4 keepers. Biggest one was 3 pounds, 3 pounds 9 ounces. And they were choking it today. All largemouth, no smallmouth. We did get into a pretty heavy hybrid striper bite also. Matter of fact, we got on the stripers first. And then we made a move, went to a spot that we'd never fished that I had looked at over on Google Earth last night and thought, if we're going to go out there this afternoon, this is a spot I want to hit. So we went out there and we were probably on that one spot for maybe 10 minutes and caught the first one. So had a good day out there today.
Heck yeah.
When you say pre-spawn and you're going on looking at mapping, what are you looking for on Old Hickory for pre-spawn?
Well, I'm looking at main lake points and maybe halfway in any creek as they're starting to move in off the main lake out of the deeper water. Start thinking about spawning. That's what I was looking for today. And they were really pulling current today. I'd looked earlier, and TVA report today was 54,000 out of Old Hickory. So we went by some of the channel buoys today, and they were almost leaning over like they would in the river today.
Oh, wow.
Let me turn on another light here, guys. A little dark.
There you go. You're good. Appreciate it.
I bet that channel was full of crap today, too.
Better?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, I bet that channel was full of crap today, too, wasn't it?
You know, it wasn't terrible, but I had to dodge a few things. And after that accident that happened over the weekend, I was very cautious.
I think a lot of people are now.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Brandon encouraged me to bring up on the stream today was just talking about, one of our local anglers, Cody, got in an accident over the weekend, and it's pretty rough. I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures, but it's just a really stark reminder of just how dangerous it can be out there. I don't know the details, and really it doesn't matter all that much what the specifics are of the situation, but he hit something going fast, and his motor ended up in the boat with him. So I think he's still in the hospital. It sounds like he's improving, which praise the Lord for that. But it's a good reminder that, no shortcuts, wear your life jacket, wear your kill switch. All that stuff is so important. And I think one of the local boat dealerships, Volunteer Boats, is buying up a bunch of inventory of these motor leashes that are made by Precision Sonar. And, they are an expense. They're just another thing that you got to add on the boat. But I think after this weekend, people's eyes are being opened up to the realities of the sport. And even this stuff happens unless you've had it. And, Mike and I were talking about this the other day. Unless you've had something like this happen to you, you never realize just how fast it is when you're going, when you're going 50, 60 miles an hour in a bass boat and something like that happens, you there is no reaction. There's
Nope.
split second decision making, but as far as preventing, an issue like that from happening, like I said, take it easy, be safe, wear your PFDs. Got Gary in the chat asking, are any of you purchasing a leash for your motor?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I was picking out colors the other day. I think I'm going to put a blue on mine.
Yeah.
I actually talked to Precision. They're like 6 to 8 weeks out. It's crazy.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they? Well, I'm sure that Volunteer bought them out. I know that they were making some posts and making it known that they had a bunch of inventory coming in. So had to bring that up. I think it's a good thing. I myself have been in a boat collision last year, and it is scary. Like it is a good. It's unfortunately a very good reminder of just how dangerous it can be out here. So we'll kind of move on from that. Just wanted to put that out there, guys. Just stay safe out there as we all chase these green and brown fish that we love to chase. So, so Johnny, you and I talked about me kind of going over some of the things that I've learned this year, and one of the things that Mike asked me was like, "Well, you've done well this year. What's different?" And I just basically told him that it's my boaters. That's I've had some really good draws this year, but there've been a few things that I think are good to take away from it. So I'll kind of start, and then you guys can expunge and bounce off, and however you want to talk about it as well. But this past weekend, like I said, I think keeping that trap in my hand all day was the key. I was tempted a few times throughout the day to maybe, hey, I haven't caught one in an hour. Maybe I should go do something else, or maybe I should pick something else up. But there are still old truths in fishing that apply. If you're in Gunnersville in the spring, you better have a red trap in your hand. And that's just the truth, man. If you ask any of the guys in the top 10 what they were doing, whether they were telling the truth or not, all of them said they were throwing a trap or a rattle bait. So there are just still, despite all the changes in the industry and all the things we learn and the technology, there are still fundamental truths in fishing that we should stick to. What do you guys think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll try to throw a goat
especially this time of year. Red, whatever reason, red just gets it done this time of year.
Yep.
And especially if you're in grass.
I fished today on a red crankbait.
Yep.
Yeah. Whether you understand why it works or not, it works, right? They eat it.
And Bible Belt's been catching them on red everything, red crankbaits, red chatterbaits, red swim jigs, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Well, Doug's 3.9 fish today was on a chatterbait with a red trailer.
Yeah, that's another Gunnersville classic that I'll probably have tied on this weekend. It just works. So that's one thing I've learned, was just having strong fundamentals is a good thing, and knowing the specifics of the water you're going to. Throwing a red trap in that grass like that, you do have to have a certain type of grass to make that bite kind of work. Yeah. I'm sure there are some places on Old Hickory that, John and I were talking about trying to relate my experiences to Old Hickory, or to just our local lakes in general. I'm sure there are some places on Old Hickory now that have some grass growing up, but the stuff that I'm pulling up on my trap, I don't know if you guys saw the video, but it's live eelgrass and it's live hydrilla and coontail, and some of it is mixed in. And it's kind of hard to find that consistently on our lakes around here.
It won't be long, because last time I went out, it was mostly still dead. With these warmer temperatures, though, it will not be long. Once that water temp hits about 60, it'll come on.
We got into some good green grass today, right off the main lake point. There was still a lot of the dead, gooey crud out there, but that's not where we were catching them today. We were catching them positioning in a little deeper water and casting up into probably 2 or 3 feet. But everything we were positioning the boat typically in anywhere between 12 and 9 feet of water today.
Cool.
And staying out of the crud. We weren't finding anything in the dead grass. Which is typical. You're going to find them. If there's live grass, they're gonna go for the live.
Right, because normally what that live grass means is that there's a lot of oxygen in the water, plus it's the right temperature. When you get that dead gross crap, most of the time it's because the oxygen is not as plentiful in that section for whatever reason. It could be the mud, it could be, the surface of the lake, or it could be, what's ever under them. I mean, you never know, but that's typically my experience. So let's see. I'm trying to think about fishing. Your confidence is, everybody talks about it, but that Smith tournament, I got really lucky with catching that big one. But the reason that I got lucky was because I was fishing my confidence. You guys know what I'm talking about, fishing a crankbait, a red crankbait that time of year. I mean, the water was probably fairly clear. Maybe reaching for a red crankbait wouldn't be your first choice in that water clarity, but it really worked. Obviously caught that big one. But fishing or confidence is so important. I've put a crankbait in my hand and caught them in the past 3 events. That's all I've been doing is winding a crankbait. I mean, I've caught one on a shaky head here and there and one on a jig here and there, but 90% of the fish I've put in the boat have been on my confidence baits. So,
that's my mindset going to Dale Hollow, because this is, I fished one tournament as a boater last year, but this is my first full season as a boater. And, confidence baits, that's my mindset. That's no time to, start trying out new stuff.
Yep.
Just go in there, go what I know, and fish grass, hopefully.
Right.
Whose channel is this on right now? Is this on Johnny's or is this on yours, Alex?
This is on my channel.
Okay.
But Alex, you're talking about cranking. I know you broke a crankbait rod trying to get a lure out. And I know a lot of guys get lures out that way. Did you feel like you jammed it too much, or you think you'll not do that again?
I think I just hit it at like a really straight on angle, and it was just flexed it just the right amount. That broke it. So it happens. I mean, you're going to break stuff, especially I'm hard on my stuff. I fish really hard all year. I don't give it a break. I do take care of it. I wipe it down and make sure it's clean. And, I've got all the protective rod socks and all that stuff, but it happens.
Yeah.
I got a new one. And
really quick. You poke it out like, what? Well, there we go.
Yeah. And that, it happens. Like that's part of fishing. But I, ordered a new one from Duckett. It was there before I even got down to the tournament. And that's what I call my fish on, was that new rod. So no problems there.
It's interesting that you went with the same Duckett rod, right? Instead of getting another Bass Pro cranking rod. You just like that Duckett rod a little bit better for, I guess, that specific lure.
Yeah, so I usually have 2 cranking setups with me on any of these tournaments. It almost doesn't really matter what I'm doing. That 7'2" medium heavy is like my more deep, more versatile setup, I guess. They're both equally as versatile, but I can throw a DT10 on it, or a 16, or a trap. It's got a little bit more range, with that being a 7'2". And then my other option is the Bass Pro cranking stick, which is 7 foot, which is really for that like real shallow square bill. It's a lot more action, a lot more speed in the tip. So that's more of my lighter action cranking setup.
Speaking of rods, I think Mike just picked up a new rod at that fishing expo that we just
really? Yeah. Tell us more.
Yeah, I picked up a 7 foot Joe's Custom medium light to throw Ned rig.
And coming over
to
the dark side.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Teach these old dogs new tricks every once in a while.
That's right, Johnny.
Not to say that I've never thrown Ned rigs. I just didn't throw them very often. And this year,
I know a fellow that makes Ned rigs.
What's that?
That's hard to see. Hang on. Let me get my angle of the dangle right here. Yeah, there you go. There's the butt.
There's a turd.
Sweet.
Do we call that the butt? Do we call that the butt nugget?
There you go.
Is that your Ned head too?
Yes. That one is just unpainted. Yeah, there you go. I got another one.
So Brandon, on that Ned that you just threw up, is there a reason why you like a more pointed tail versus just a straight? I mean, like same length throughout?
No, not really. It's still like there's no action to it. It's just a do nothing. I mean, it's like a TRD or anything else of that, that shape. It's just a do nothing lure, and I don't know why it works, but it does.
Fish like turds.
Yeah, I guess they do.
Whatever
Yeah,
works,
you
right?
gave us 2 tips there from your recent bash tournament. Do you have any another one, or you got to? I feel like you always in at 3. Stopping at 2.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think ultimately, as far as the tournament stuff goes, it still comes down to your relationship with the person you're fishing with. Like,
Mhm.
you know, I think everything else in the tournament world falls, and this is, you know, at this level, you know, when you get to the point that you're not fishing with the co-angler, it's a totally different dynamic. But I still do think at this point in where I'm at, having a good relationship, like establishing that early on, that trust and confidence, that camaraderie, I think it's so important, because I could have had crappy fishing days. Like, it's happened. I have zeroed a few times. It's always possible, right? You never know what can happen. But and I could have, you know, I could have won the tournament. Who knows? But either way, I knew it was going to be a good day, and I had that mindset going in. So sort of a psychological thing of like, if I catch him, that's a bonus. If I don't catch him, I get to meet a new guy. I get to go fishing. You know, I get to be out there and compete. So I think when you set yourself up mentally like that, I mean, I had almost like this is kind of weird, but I had almost like a spiritual experience on the way to our first spot. So I was like I was just overcome. I think I got chills right now thinking about it. I was overcome with like thankfulness for just being out there. And so when you go into the day with that mindset, and then things play out the way they did, it just makes it so much better.
Mike, is that what it was like going to Old Hickory today? You're like, man, I'm in my boat. I fixed my steering. I got some new batteries.
I got old tricks.
Got a new trolling motor, put in new batteries, got the air out of my hydraulics on my C-Star steering to you know, my maintenance there. Graphs were working good, maps were working good, because I went across a couple areas. So we went to an area on the lake today that, Johnny, you tried to go to one time last year. And you I don't know if you found your way over there, because you had to go over that very shallow water out of the main channel.
Oh yeah, I did. I just slow.
Okay.
I went through it with a trolling motor though.
All right. Well, I went through it with my big motor. I trimmed it up a little bit and went through there nice and slow. Yeah, today was one of those days that I mean, we basically put a little over 11 pounds. We would have put 11 pounds in the live well today. And I don't know, I think we fished 3 hours. I mean, and they came pretty fast and furious. I caught one short, probably about 13 inches. But the one bigger one that I caught was 3 pounds, and then Doug caught that 3.9. And man, they were just choking it. I mean, there was no, you know, grabbing the back of the crankbait. I mean, it was down in deep, and I mean, I think I sent you guys a picture of that crankbait all the way down in that fish's mouth. I mean, they just were just nailing it. I mean, they're in that pre-spawn now. They're feeding up, and one of the fish that I thought was interesting, I've never seen this before. So one of the ones I caught, I think it was 12 and a half, 13 inches, coughed up a snail, shell and all.
Really?
Huh.
I mean, it was a snail this big. I've never seen anything like that before. I've never seen cough up a snail. Obviously, crayfish, or you know, when we were out on the river in that tournament last weekend, that 4 pound 442 largemouth I caught, it lost a couple ounces at weigh-in because it coughed up a big old crayfish in a live well.
That 5.5 pounder I caught, I put it in the box and checked it about 10 minutes later, and there was a bluegill about that big in a live well that he coughed up.
You want to stick it back in there? It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I took it out. I probably should have left it in there and let them compete over it, but that was a good. It's cool when they do that. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but a lot of the fish I caught on Saturday just crushed it, and there was no way they were coming off. I mean, they had the front hook like in the back of their mouth up by their chompers, and I had to kind of baby them a lot of the day because they got hooked in the tongue. Some of them did, and I had to kind of take care of them and, you know, nurse them back to health, and it all worked out. So
I bought some stuff for that. I don't know how well it's going to work yet. I can't offhand remember the brand. Anyway, it's some stuff you pour down their throat that's supposed to heal all those wounds if you gill or tongue hook them or throat hook them or something like that.
Yeah, I think my boater hat says like a powder almost that you kind of, it's like a medicine bottle you dump in the as well.
But this one's a liquid like that you actually apply directly to it.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, that's cool. Yeah,
I don't know.
It
Heard
worked.
good things about it. If it works, I guess. I'll tell you what you were saying though, it's all about what, G-Man says, positive mental attitude. And I got to thinking, I don't think that I've ever had a bad boater. Maybe one time.
Right.
And I've been doing this for like 5 years now, these BFLs or whatever, but maybe one time. That's the only time I've ever had a bad. I mean, like, he wasn't even that bad. I mean, he was just, I'll be honest. He was just an arrogant dick. And let's just be honest about it. But I mean, he wasn't that bad though, all things considered. I mean, we had a banter all day long, but I mean, he was good.
Yeah.
But
and then it goes to like, how do you define a bad boater? If you had fine conversation during the day and he was just not the greatest person, is he a bad boater? Or is he just not the greatest person you've ever met?
Mm-hmm.
It's what it all comes down to. And you get on. I don't know if you guys are on some of these Facebook pages that have like the BFL linking information and stuff. Man, there is some awesome comment sections that I just like pop a bowl of popcorn and sit back and watch.
Yep. Yeah.
The most vocal people in our industry are going to be the most negative. And I've learned that through, not just through, but like putting ourselves out there right now. We're putting ourselves out there. We're being vulnerable on the internet, and the most negative people are going to be the most vocal. And that's something I've learned. And that's just life. That's not even just fishing. That's just life in general, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, I know I'm not sure what time you planned on ending, and I don't know how you feel about doing this, but I think it'd be interesting if you could share your screen and maybe we could look at some of the Bass Open results today and look at some of those names and techniques and if any of those surprise you. We're talking about YouTubers and being vulnerable. I feel like Milliken Fishing is one of those guys. I'm sure a lot of folks are.
And say, Ben Milliken, he actually caught him today, believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what that final results is. And I think, Alex, you have a friend that is also fishing in it, right? Or someone?
Yeah, I know a couple guys who are fishing in it. I'm going to share my screen now, and we will go ahead and take a look here.
And they're fishing a lake that you're going to be fishing in a week or so, right?
That's right. They are fishing on Eufaula, and I will be down there, not this coming weekend, but the next weekend, fishing the second Bass Nation stop of the season. So
I could have swore they were in Oklahoma, but they're in Eufaula, Alabama.
They're on Eufaula, Alabama. So we're looking at the Bassmaster. This is not the homepage, but this is really easy to find. The leaderboard, pro anglers. We're going to look at the boaters today. So I know a couple of boaters and a couple of co-anglers in this tournament, but Justin Barnes leading with 25.6. That is pretty strong. That's a strong weight. And he is a really good fisherman down on that lake. He doesn't fish it as much. Some of like Shane Powell, you guys probably hadn't heard of him, but he's always up there in standings on that lake. And he's got 23.2, 23. So some really good bags. Let's see. The top 10 are all above 20 pounds. And Logan Parks is another guy. I think he went to Auburn, college fisherman. I don't know a lot of the other guys. I mean, Brandon Lester and John Canada, those are familiar names, but top 10 looks like all the way down to 12th are all 20 pounds. That's pretty strong. That's really strong.
That's impressive
for this time of year.
I could have swore I thought Ben was up there. There he is. I guess 21st.
He's sitting in 21st. Ben Milliken, 18.4. That's pretty good. Zeke Gossett is another really good angler down there. He fishes Bass Nation. I'm sure he'll be down there next weekend. He's got 18 pounds. Polinick's got 17.13. A little bit of work to do, but it's still fairly close. Tucker Smith, another college fisherman. Let's see. Drew Cook with 16.14. Got some work to do.
Andrew Upshaw's in there.
Yep, Bobby Lane. Got a lot of high-profile guys fishing these opens. I don't know about you guys, but I was shocked when we found out that there were 175 guys signed up to fish all 9 of these.
Is there a cut on this one, Alex? Did they cut after
I don't remember what the format is this year. I know there's a top 10 cut. Let's see. On Saturday. So maybe
I don't think it is. I think the full field fishes both days, and then top 10 go to.
I think you're right about that. So like these guys below, 50 or so, you've got a pretty tall climb there. But I was looking for Pangrak because I know he was somewhere down in the 60s. I feel like. Do you remember, Johnny?
It was a little bit early in the day when I saw it, but I would just do a control fine. Maybe that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
I think there's like 2 mats on there.
There he is, 94th.
Ah, man, he
Not
caught
as good
5.
as- He did. He had a limit. That's a small. There's a small. You follow limit because
Yeah,
I
it's
believe
less
it's
than
a.
Pounds.
It's a
Is
14.
Van Dam in there?
Van Dam.
Yeah.
He's fishing MLF.
Oh, that's right. He's retiring after this year.
He's not retiring. He's leaving tour fishing.
Okay.
He's going to do something else. Charlie Hartley, man, that's not what you expect from a guy like Charlie Hartley, only catching 3. But yeah, it can happen for sure. Just for the fun of it. So we got 25.5 basically leading on the boater side. Let's see on the co-angler side with a 7.7 big. That's a pretty big fish. Co-angler side, we've got.
Hey, Alex, is this the lake where there's a bunch of brush piles, or
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of brush piles.
Oh,
right?
daggone. Oh, that's right. They've got a 3 fish limit on the co-angler side. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so 3 for 10. That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. I didn't recognize any of these guys, but a couple 10-pound bags, some 9-pound bags. That 9 and 10-pound bag is pretty dang good. My buddy fished with Greg Hackney today.
dude, that is cool.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
I'm excited to see how he did, but I don't see him on here. Let's see. There he is, Travis. So he caught 1 for 1.9, and that's his home lake. So you know that fishing behind old Greg Hackney is probably a pretty tough deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm excited about the opens because, Alex, this year it's a little different where you basically have to fish all 9 tournaments, and then it's the top 9 from a points perspective to go to be an elite series, which I think is so cool. Because I couldn't go to the NFL or PGA Tour and try to do 9 tournaments and finish in the top 9 and get to fish in the PGA Tour. So,
Yeah.
And I think if you win one of these things, you get to fish in the Classic, right? Or maybe
I think so.
win your division. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I honestly at first I didn't love the move to go to the all 9 format, just because I saw it the same way a lot of people did without really analyzing it, which was, oh well, if I'm a working guy now I don't have a chance to get in because I've got to pay my way through all 9. But it's like if you pay your way through all 9 and you get there and you're broke after 5 months, what was the point? You've just ruined your life to just go fish one season on the elites. And so I've changed my perspective on that, and I like the way they're doing things. And obviously, other people like the way they're doing things too, because 175 guys are putting up all the entry fees.
I just hit up Backdraft Lures, but yo, I made the elite series. Need some help.
Hey,
There
man.
you go.
Buddy, if you make the elite series, I'll give you whatever you want. I won't even charge you.
But Alex, I'm not sure how long you plan on keeping, but my battery's gonna die here soon.
Yeah, well, we're gonna start wrapping up. I appreciate all you guys jumping on. Brandon, dude, I'm really excited for us to work together as my first pro staff sponsor, whatever you want to call it. Really looking forward to working together and
Yeah, man, good to have you.
building both of our brands. I think it's gonna be fun. So, Mike, appreciate you jumping on. Johnny, anything else you guys want to say?
I think we're good.
We're getting into season, buddy. This was
Yep.
probably the best day we've had on Old Hickory. So season starting. I mean, guys that are sitting at home, it's time to get in your boat and get out on the water and put a few fish in the boat.
Crawl out of your shop and get in the boat. That's right.
Yep.
That's it.
All right.
I'm
guys.
ready, man.
Appreciate you guys jumping on. See you next time.
All right, guys. See you.
All right, guys.
Congratulations on the tournament again, Alex. Good job.
Thank you.